Welcome to On the Vineyard, a weekly podcast from the Vineyard Gazette Media Group on Martha's Vineyard. I'm publisher Monica Brady-Meyerov. We're so glad you're here. On the Vineyard is sponsored by Crane Appliance. Everywhere you look on the island, there are turkeys. And I'm not saying that because it's Thanksgiving time. There are so many wild turkeys roaming yards, pecking through forests, and crossing the street at inconvenient times. Where do they all come from?
The theory goes that someone brought them here. Either they brought wild ones that you could used to be able to buy turkeys from game farms, or they brought domestic turkeys to grow at farms. We did have turkey farms out here in the past.
More on that story in a moment. And last weekend, the island came together to dine, dance, and donate money for hurricane relief in Jamaica. You've probably noticed the island has a good-sized population of year-round and seasonal residents from Jamaica. The benefit brought together more than 15 chefs and restaurants who donated an amazing buffet dinner. Smoked pulled pork from Chef Jimmy Alvarado of Tiger Hawk, short ribs and polenta from Sweet Life, curry chicken from Vineyard Caribbean, and Manish water, which is goat soup from Chef Dion. That's the sound of the historic press in the Vineyard Gazette offices in Edgartown printing the paper. That means it's time to go upstairs to the newsroom and check in with Bill Evell, the editor-in-chief.
The big news this week was a potential merger between two iconic and essential arts organizations here. It was announced that Circuit Arts is planning to merge with the Martha's Vineyard Playhouse. This comes in the wake of M.J. Bruder-Manafo, the Playhouse artistic and executive director, announcing her retirement at the end of this year. Louisa Huffstadter got to talk to a lot of the principals involved, so we're going to turn to her now.
So, yes, this is the best possible news, I think. We were all wondering what was going to happen with the Playhouse, with MJ leaving after 40 years working there and 30 plus as the artistic and executive director. But the Circuit Arts umbrella, which already covers a bunch of other really iconic things, well, one or two iconic and other emerging arts groups, including the Martha's Vineyard Film Festival, the Drive-In at the YMCA, and the Martha's Vineyard Children's Summer Camp, Theater Camp. And so adding the Playhouse to their umbrella will allow the Circuit Arts to be the executive director, and the artistic director is going to be Brooke Hardman Ditchfield, who is one of the most talented actresses we have seen on the Playhouse or elsewhere. She's also the head of the theater department at Martha's Vineyard Regional High School. She's going to keep that job. She's got a musical to produce coming up in a couple of months, and those are always extravaganzas to not miss. Brooke is also married to Brian Ditchfield, who is the executive director of Circuit Arts, which he basically built over the past 5 years out of a foundation of the Film Festival, the Drive-In, which was introduced during the COVID pandemic. The children's camp sort of was a fusion of another theater camp and Brian's own Cinema Circus children's camp that he used to do with the film festival. And now they also have a production company called Circuit Films, where they produce documentaries such as the ones about the Great Pond and some short features and things you see in front of movies at the Martha's Vineyard Film Society Film Center.
So that's a lot of stuff.
That's a lot of stuff.
But I guess in this merger, they're not sort of adding on, but they're going to keep two separate brands, they said. And the other cool thing is that they have a long history together, both Brian and Brooke with the Playhouse. It seems like that's a really important part of the story, and that it's really in good hands, but hands that care a lot about it.
This is like a Romeo and Juliet story with a happy ending, because Brian is from the Vineyard family, was an actor in his youth, actually took teen improv classes with MJ at the Playhouse, told me he feels like he grew up in that theater and that MJ was a mentor to him. While off island in high school for a theater activity, he met Brooke, who was from the mainland. Really, as I said before, very talented. Dated for a while, tried not to during college, found that they really meant to be together.
We followed these folks for a long time, haven't
Brooke
we?
leaving, well, I didn't know them then, but I am in love with this story. And then Brooke, basically leaving what could have been really a remarkable career on the stage in Boston and beyond, coming to the Vineyard, starting a family, and establishing just raising the bar for theater, I think, on a year-round basis here. And I've had the luck of seeing her perform in diverse roles. I think that she's also got some very serious organizational chops.
If you see the high school plays each year, it's incredible.
So I'm not worried about her taking on the Playhouse while the semester is still going on in the new year. But I think we've just got nothing but good things to look forward to, because now the umbrella organization will have access to multiple stages. The Playhouse will keep its identity, all of its staff, its programming like Virginia's Drama Club and other things that they do for the community. And Christy Brooks, who's the treasurer of the board of directors of the Playhouse, told me they just want to add on. They want to expand. And this agreement, as they hammer it out in the new year, will enable them to take advantage of some more opportunities, maybe even expand to non-performing arts. Writing such things are not impossible.
Wow, really exciting. A lot of good news. Thanks so much, Louisa.
Thank you, Bill.
Turning now to Ethan Genter with a most Thanksgiving story. You may hate them, you may love them, but you definitely run into them. Talking turkeys all over the vineyard, which walk around with impunity on our roads and often stop traffic. Ethan Genter did a deep dive in our turkey world, and we're heading over to him now. Ethan?
They're probably the critter that vineyarders run into the most and deal with on the highest frequency. I have a flock of about 20 that live in a tree. They roost in a tree above my house at night. So I wanted to kind of look into how they got here and how they've become kind of part of the daily life of vineyarders.
Yeah, they're part of my daily life. Whenever I walk my dog in the West Tisbury Cemetery, I always watch them roost at night. It's sort of actually a beautiful sight, these ungainly creatures getting to the very treetops of the pines. But as your story talked about, it's sort of a little bit mysterious how they got here.
As ubiquitous as they are here on the vineyard and on the mainland, we didn't have turkeys for a while out here. Turkeys went kind of, not extinct, but they were pretty much gone from Massachusetts in the 1850s. And they were reintroduced in the 1970s on the mainland, and the state trapped and relocated a lot of turkeys kind of throughout the mainland. But the closest they ever came to the vineyard was the Cape. And like you said, turkeys can fly, but they can't fly that well. So it's a little unclear how we ended up getting turkeys out here.
Yeah, people seem to point the fingers at different folks who may have brought them here. But one of the things that was interesting, they may even be a mix of domestic and wild or feral turkeys, the ones we have.
The theory goes that someone brought them here. Either they brought wild ones that you could used to be able to buy turkeys from game farms, or they brought domestic turkeys to grow at farms. We did have turkey farms out here in the past, and people still do grow turkeys here. Eventually, they either got loose, or people didn't want to care for them anymore, or wild ones started to interbreed with some of the domesticated ones, which is something you can see. A lot of vineyard turkeys have flecks of white. Domestic turkeys that you grow for the kitchen table are often have white feathers, where the wild ones have brown. And so that's the thought of how they ended up getting out here and taking over.
All right, well, thanks so much, and I recommend everybody reading the whole article while you sit around and eat your turkey during the holiday season.
You can read more on these stories and all the news for free at vineyardgazette.com. Now is the perfect time to buy a subscription to the newspaper, because we're donating 15% of the cost of all new subscriptions to the nonprofit and the Cancer Support Group. Do you still need to walk off your turkey? Head to Felix Neck Wildlife Sanctuary today, because they're hosting the 45th annual Fall Festival. It's got live music, crafts, hay rides, and more. This year's theme is quiescence, which means dormancy, and it will look at the ways nature rests and hibernates. On Saturday, Oak Bluffs will have an all-day holiday celebration with Santa, carriage rides, and the evening tree lighting. And next week, the Federated Church is having their annual Festival of Wreaths sale. This is a great event to buy a unique island-made holiday wreath. Last year, I got one with a shellfishing theme. It had scallop and oyster shells. Where did you sit at the Thanksgiving table? The adults' table? The extensions? In another room? Everyone has a story. David Flanders, a lifelong Chilmark resident and well-known vineyard figure, remembers having big Thanksgiving Day dinners with multiple tables to fit everyone.
We'd have big Thanksgiving dinners there, too, for the whole family. And there'd be at least 30, 40 there. was a good time. Everybody had a nice time. Sat up and sang the songs and talked, played cards, all those things going on. The family liked to sing. They had hymnals there that they would start in the front and play right through, and they'd have 30, 40 people singing, so it was quite a loud thing, but we had a good time. They had two sets of tables. Actually, they had 2 rooms of tables, and older people sat at the head of the table, and then us little kids weighed out the bottom of the table, and then as you got older, you maybe could move up 1 table or 2 tables up towards your front. Now I guess I'd be up the front table. We don't do it anymore.
David Flanders died on Thanksgiving Day in 2008. This recording comes from Lindsay Lee and the Martha's Vineyard Museum. Our theme music is from Island composer and musician Michael Hayden. If you like the show, please follow us so you won't miss an episode, and tell a friend who loves the vineyard. Thanks to our sponsor, Crane Appliance, where you have access to an extraordinary range of premium appliances with best-in-class service and expertise. Crane Appliance. They call the Cape and Islands home. I'm Monica Brady-Meyerov. Thanks for joining us on The Vineyard. Talk to you next week.